of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer, here alongside Mike Gallagher on a chilly day in New York City. I am rocking the charity water hat for those out there listening and viewing. Mike, I'm chilly. I'm cold. I got my hat on. How are you doing, man? Recovering from a night out with Mark Dankenbring?
Yep, short sleeves and shorts on. It is a beautiful day in Phoenix. Yeah, Mark Dankenbring and I, we took Phoenix down last night. The city will never be the same. Yeah, it was so fun. So Dank and I will be doing the show. We will be talking about what we did last night and the best pizza maybe ever. Like, it was so good. So yeah, a little bit of pool action. It was a lot of fun. Highly contested. It was
nice.
He is the cutthroat king with Maggie and me. We had some pretty highly contested 8-ball stuff. It was good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. My experience with Mark was the guy's pretty skilled at some parlor games and bar games. Playing some cornhole or bags, depending on what you call it, what part of the country you're in, out in Denver this summer. Pretty good player. All right, let's get to 2-game slate. We'll keep this short and sweet and simple. We've had a lot of big slates. We'll have another one tomorrow on Friday to get through. But tonight, just the Lakers in Philadelphia and Minnesota and Golden State. The injury reports are pretty tame here. So we'll just talk kind of generally about the injury situations. And then for the DFS impact stuff, Mark and Mike will have that on the 5:30 Eastern show behind the paywall over at establishedrun.com. So let's start on the questionable side of the tags. Let's start with Minnesota.
Well, we got a big one just now that changes it. It's LeBron James. He is now questionable with left knee soreness. So good thing we didn't fire those Westbrook unders.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to take it off there.
Well, let's start there.
Yeah.
That's obviously a game-changing injury situation on the slate. Let's talk about the Lakers as a whole, because they've also got Anthony Davis, who returned on a minutes limit in his first game back, played 25 minutes. I think the bigger thing for Anthony Davis, and I actually didn't get a chance to watch much of this game, but the bigger thing for Anthony Davis is they had him very involved early, but then no involvement throughout the rest of the game. How did he look from your vantage point? Does he look healthy? I know you mentioned no knee brace. That line, only 8 shots. Taking the same amount of shots as Avery Bradley in the same amount of minutes is just shocking to me.
Horrible. Yeah. I thought he looked great. Like, he had a real nice kind of like a chase down, like trailing the scorer on a block, moved around really laterally pretty well, which is always a big concern with knee injuries. Yeah. Ran the floor well, wasn't like really slow to get down the court. So his minutes got cut a little bit because of foul trouble. So I think he played 14 first half minutes. So we were right on it with pegging 28. So that's probably going to be 30 today, especially without LeBron. If he doesn't play, we can talk more about that. But yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. Not quite like peak, but given the time he had off, given how many times he's been injured, I thought it was a pretty encouraging performance despite the really horrendous stat line with only 8 points.
So the matchup with Philadelphia also brings into contextually, potentially a different lineup solution here as well. Obviously, a LeBron injury would change things dramatically there. But I think for sure, if LeBron sat, I think Dwight Howard starts, undoubtedly, because for 2 fronts. One, I really don't think you want to put wear and tear on Anthony Davis at this, 2 games back in. Let's go cover Embiid for a bunch. I think they want to have Dwight take that pounding a little bit more. And then 2, offensively, I think if you were going to be without LeBron, you're going to probably require more of the offense to run through Anthony Davis, and you just don't want to put too much responsibility on him all at once. But if LeBron does play, I also think there's a decent chance that Dwight Howard slides into that starting lineup over Stanley Johnson, just because trying to protect Anthony Davis in terms of the minutes that he would go up against Joel Embiid. I think they'd be fine having Anthony Davis have minutes that go up against Andre Drummond, and I think there would have to be some that would go up against Embiid, but I think they'd want to limit them as much as possible. Do you agree? Do you think Dwight Howard draws the start tonight?
100%. Yeah, AD for years has said he doesn't like to play center minutes against bigger guys. Just missed time. He kind of beat his timetable. I was expecting him to be out. He got like a 4. I think it was a 4-week timeline, and he was right at it. Which for AD to be right at your timeline is great. So yeah, given that, given the matchup, I think it makes all the sense in the world that they start Dwight here to kind of keep some tough miles off AD. And they've done that before. Vogel has shown an affinity to, use Dwight Howard. We see him do it with Jokic to start him in that spot. He's certainly not married to, the lineup. He does like to use it, but, prioritizing certain things here makes too much sense to make sure you're starting Dwight here.
So I think if LeBron sat, you'd get almost 48 straight minutes of DeAndre and Dwight. Maybe 40, 40 to 48. Just because you have a lot of minutes to fill. And really, I just think they don't want to put any of that wear and tear on AD. And look, Embiid's going to play 30 to 35, 36, somewhere in there, like the 31, 32, 33 range, most likely. And so, like, if LeBron plays, how high do you think Dwight can get? I don't think DeAndre plays if LeBron plays. Yeah. But I do think Dwight could maybe get into the mid-20s. Like that wouldn't surprise me in this specific spot, just because Embiid is such a tall task to go up against.
Quite literally. Let's see. Where's he? He's topped out at, like, he had 35 against the Kings. That's right. So, yeah, probably, like, if LeBron plays, did you do the minutes? Did you do the minutes for the Lakers?
Chris Lafficus did, and he has Dwight starting, but a hedge on Dwight starting at only 15. Yeah. So I think once Dwight would be confirmed a starter, I think it's a spot where you can get into the 22 range.
I was going to say 21. You kind of covered the 24, 25 high end, and then still a little bit of downside. Yeah. If AD's comfortable.
Yeah.
So you can
but I mean, what do you think the ceiling is? Do you think the ceiling is 24, 25?
No, I think 24, 25 is probably the ceiling, man. Okay. I feel like they're not going to go too crazy. They've got a lot of wing depth. They've been comfortable playing, even if LeBron plays, they've been comfortable playing him against Sabonis, Turner. So, I think LeBron may even embrace that. I won't be surprised, if they put LeBron on him instead of AD, which sounds a little bit weird, but wouldn't be surprised with the way LeBron's been kind of playing pretty decent post defense as well. So the guy's just insanely good, obviously. So I don't think it would be like outrageous.
This is the first game of the night. So those asking, like, do we lean Bron in or out? I mean, we're going to keep LeBron in the projections just because it would be somewhat irresponsible not to without more information here. But we'll get all that information before. We'll be prepared with an if-then set of projections ready to go if LeBron is officially ruled out. But do you have any lean on this?
No.
In terms of no. New injury, not a lot of information on it. We'll wait for commentary from the coaching staff and whatnot. But yeah, I think this is a big deal. And then you're thinking maybe 30 minutes on AD, like on the high end.
Yeah.
I kind of think just because he didn't I think 30 is the high end. I think probably projecting him for like 27 is probably
you're probably right. Yeah.
It's probably right.
I think they want to get him. Yeah, I think they want to get him to 30. So if that's the
I also think these minutes could be more taxing. He's going to have to guard Embiid some. Like there's no real great way around that. And I just think those minutes could be pretty taxing. So I'm still on the more careful side with AD. Always. If LeBron sits in this game, I'd have my concerns. I mean, it's always so hard because Philadelphia plays down to the level of their competition so consistently, and they rarely blow out teams as a result. But I would have a little bit of concern. National TV game, like Embiid's really the media machine for MVP stuff is really starting to pump hard. I could see without LeBron this game becoming a challenge for the Lakers, specifically scoring the ball offensively. On the Philadelphia side of things, they have Danny Green back. He's questionable on the injury report, but they noted that they expect him to be available to play tonight. So they're getting their wing defenders back. Right, they got Tybalt back, they got Danny Green back. These are the kind of their primary two guys that they rely on for kind of wing defense. They've got those guys just at the right time with LeBron potentially coming to town and needing more and more bodies to throw at him. But what are your expectations on how Danny Green impacts things? My guess is it just removes Charlie Brown Jr. from the rotation, lightens the load on Isaiah Joe, and then lightens the high end on both Tybalt and Korkmaz as well as kind of my early guess.
Yeah, Joe and Charlie Brown pretty much go bye-bye. Definitely expect a little bit of a cap. His hip/groin thing hasn't been that bad. They've just been really careful, given the way he's just been racking up injuries this season. So I expect him to be pretty close to full health. They'll definitely be careful with him. But yeah, this shouldn't really impact, really anybody in the starting lineup. Maybe a little upside off of Maxey because they've got a little bit more depth there, but nothing crazy. Obviously,
you think Joe goes away entirely? I did not project.
Not entirely,
okay.
But you're not looking at him,
No. I have him for 12, 14 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so I think they'll still go 9. I don't think they'll go down to 8. I mean, they could. Doc Rivers has played really tight rotations in the past, but I'm leaning towards more of a 9-man rotation than 8, and it just like clips the top off some guys. Tyrese Maxey, I think we had like a 38.5. I brought with Danny Greenback. I brought him down to 37. Like Korkmaz, I brought down to like 32, 33 from like 35, 36. Those types of things. I think George Niang, I don't think is impacted too much. I think his role is pretty static. I think it's mostly Charlie Brown Jr., Isaiah Joe, and then a little bit off of Tybal, Korkmaz, Maxey. Tybal is a guy that the minutes range can be just volatile because he can get into foul trouble. Also, like depending on how he's playing defensively, the offense is never there. So if the defense isn't there on a given night, he can have his minutes taken out from him. But I think in this matchup, they'll probably be pretty good. My guess is he would draw. A lot of Russ.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
And they'll throw Danny at LeBron a little bit. Would be my guess, and Tobias and those guys that are a little bit bigger. Tybal's
they may mix it up a little bit. They may throw him at LeBron too. So
you think so? I mean, Tybal's just like he's not that.
Yeah, he's a ball handler, defender guy for sure.
Yeah.
I agree for the most part, but I think you'll see a little bit of LeBron. Yeah. We should just mention, if LeBron sits, like you're obvious. I mean, Westbrook's price is probably way down.
Yep.
So he'd be just a smash.
Yeah, I mean it's a 2-game slate. Anytime LeBron sits, you look to Russ and AD. AD has some question marks around how much of the load he can carry, so you'd look right to Russ. It would be a big volume spot for Russ. The price is down. He'd be one of the best plays in DFS for sure.
Yep, for sure. And quick shout out to Nickeil Alexander-Walker for torching Matisse in the last game. Baller.
Yeah. He can do that from time to time. There's no rhyme or reason to when he does it, but he can do that.
Yeah. Oh, and also we have the Russell Westbrook pointer narrative from Philly. If you're into that. This famous picture. Love it.
Good old GIFs, good old memes. All right, let's go to Minnesota and Golden State. On the Minnesota side of things, Patrick Beverley and Jalen Noel are both questionable. This is interesting just because I think we have both of them leaned in right now. I think they both play, but it is interesting in the cascading depth issues where if both players miss, then all of a sudden the guard minutes get pretty thin, and you can see Malik Beasley's minutes really tick back up quite a bit. So that's the situation. If one of them misses, I don't think it moves the needle a ton on these guys. I think the high-end ceiling on the main Minnesota starters is still elevated. But if both miss, I think Malik Beasley has to play a decent bit.
Yep. They would bring, if they both miss, they'd probably bring Jordan McLaughlin in for the non-D'Angelo, maybe a little overlap. Would almost certainly start Jaden McDaniels again if they did miss. Jaden foul trouble again. What else is new there? But yeah, definitely looking at Malik Beasley. Interesting that Pat Beverley was supposed to play on Sunday, and he's still missing time. So it makes sense. This guy's had a tough time staying healthy. So I think he has a pretty good shot to play. But a little discouraging that he's taken so long to get back out there.
Yeah, and then for the Golden State Warriors on the other side, no Draymond Green still, no Andre Iguodala. But Clay surprisingly played last time. Played through the questionable tag, looked fine. Played his most minutes at 26. I've got him around 25 again tonight, thinking that maybe they'll. I think it's going to be in stages with Clay. I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 games at a certain level before you bump up a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I think it's going to be a slow build for him. But yeah, no Iguodala. Any rotation changes? We know that things for Golden State can be a little bit fluid with their bench depth in terms of the matchups and trying to take advantage of things. I would imagine this would be a decent matchup for the size guys, for Bielitsa, for Kevon Looney to have higher minutes allocations. Just without Iguodala, tougher to go small against Minnesota because of the way that they play. Any other notes on the rotation there that you want to leave for Golden State?
Yeah, I should see a lot of Looney, right? Played 25 minutes against Cat the last time they played. Definitely.
That was a blowout loss too. So
missed
the final rotation, I believe, as well.
Yeah, he'll probably get up to upper 20s if things go right for him. So definitely someone to look at on a 2-game slate. I think he kind of nailed it. We'll see a little bit of a more extended run for him. I think Otto Porter's minutes are pretty safe here. With maybe Kuminga could cut into him. We saw Kuminga have a pretty good game late here. So it should be pretty similar to what we saw in the last game.
All right. Well, that'll do it. 2-game slate, real quick on the injury side. If you are joining us on the DFS side of things, 5:30 Eastern time, Mark Dankenbring with Mike Gallagher, the two that have been partying all week in Arizona, bringing that party behind the paywall over at Established Run. You can figure out what that means. #TeamSucks. And if you are not joining us behind the paywall, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here, get notifications whenever we go live, continue to support the free content that we're delivering for you each and every Monday through Friday. We will be back at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Justin Fan from Underdog Fantasy NBA, the best news account in the business, to go over all of the injuries for a big Friday slate. Enjoy the NBA tonight. Enjoy your DFS lineups. We'll see you tomorrow. Best of luck.